Well, it's been an interesting week in the psychedelic market, to say the least. We got a nice little pop up just above 70, and things have seemed to have stabilized, and we're getting a support line at around 40 cents. But in the meantime, before we get back into stock price, let's take a look at the latest video. Enjoy.
May be finally turning for psychedelics in America. Psilocybin mushrooms are now decriminalized in Denver, Oakland, and Santa Cruz, bro. And there is renewed interest in the potential therapeutic benefits of mushrooms and other psychedelics like LSD and MDMA. In fact, just this week, a company called MindMed became the first psychedelics-based therapy startup to be traded publicly. So are psychedelics the medicine of the future? Here with me tonight in studio, MindMed co-founder and co-CEO JR Rahn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is a fascinating area, and study after study where they allow studies, it shows that a lot of these drugs, however you want to classify them, can actually heal the brain from the inside out. And there have been some phenomenal results from these clinical trials. How does your company work in a climate where one of the drugs substances that is the basis for your drug, 18MC, is a Schedule 1 drug listed with LSD and marijuana as being toxic and with no medicinal value?
Well, the company was set up to develop medicines that are based on psychedelics, and we do that through the FDA pathway. So that allows us to actually conduct clinical trials with an exemption, because when you file for what we call an IND, you're able to conduct these clinical trials. And that is vastly different, I think, than when people might talk about the cannabis industry, because with the FDA on board with us and supervising our trials, this is all rigorous science.
Yes, and I mean, but you're really talking about targeted conditions like nicotine addiction and alcohol addiction, and this one substance, ibogaine, actually has shown remarkable results in treating those addictions. How hard has it been to bring that to market? I mean, I know you're in phase 2 of your clinical trials, correct?
We're starting our phase 2 in Q4 here in New York, actually. What we saw with ibogaine is that ibogaine was discovered in the 1960s by 2 heroin addicts that actually were using it to go on have a hallucinogenic experience, but ultimately didn't want to use their heroin anymore, and has been used as an anti-addictive treatment for many years.
How effective is it in terms of statistically?
Statistically, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence. There's some studies that suggest maybe 50% of patients can actually get cured with it. With
That's unbelievable.
Heroin and opioid addictions,
Yes.
and that's vastly different than things like Suboxone and Methadone, which are as addictive as heroin,
they're
if not
essentially
more.
just substitutes. But I mean, this is fascinating because I've read about the MDMA trials from MAPS that they're guided psychotherapy. It's the usage. You're with a therapist, and you're able to see the brain from the inside out and change it. Is that how ibogaine works?
Yeah. So our company, we develop medicines that are based on psychedelics that can be both hallucinogenic on one hand, and on the other, non-hallucinogenic. With our 18MC, we actually synthesize it to be non-hallucinogenic.
Yes.
And we saw in the preclinical work in animals that it's as effective as ibogaine, but doesn't have the trip.
I can't wait to read more about it. Bring some by next time, and we'll all have a sample in the green room. I'm just kidding. I know you're not doing it for recreational purposes. It is to cure people. It is for medicine. It is to help people who have no other avenue. JR, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as you guys can see, he delved in a little deeper about exactly what MindMed is doing. He specified and drove home the point that it is strictly a pharmaceutical company, not for recreational use. And I really want people to focus on the point that this is all FDA approval, which means it's legal, the government is allowing it, and also that they are starting phase 2, which means that this research has been going on since October 2018, and the initial ibogaine study began in 2013. They just purchased the intellectual property and then integrated that company into MindMed. But I think this is much more clear than the last snippet that I posted, so any questions, please feel free to comment down below. One person did bring up that they felt that it trading on the OTC, it felt like a sketchy stock. I completely understand that because there is a lot of sketchy stocks on the OTC, but you have to remember that this trades in Canada up here alongside some major blue chips like Shopify, which is also a really great Canadian stock. So it may be an OTC sketchy looking stock to a lot of Americans, but as you progress in time, you'll see that it will grow and develop and probably uplist, similar to what then called Tweed did with Canopy when it uplisted from the OTC to the New York Stock Exchange, which I myself was along for the ride during that. So, cheers. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.